Hey everybody, I finally got all the pieces kind of like made and kind of propped up together. So I kind of just preliminarily like have everything together and I made these little wood stands. I just use like pieces of oh gosh, you can buy it at the craft store, but I got these pieces of like thicker balsa wood and then I had like more pieces of balsa wood and then I just cut it down to size. I use my handy dandy handsaw. This works really great. I think I bought it at Lowe's or Home Depot and had some extra blades, but yeah, it cuts through the stuff really easy. Get a nice little workout. And then right now I have like the hot air balloon. It's this makeshift like um upside down disposable cup, and then there's like foam inside of it, but I have this much nicer pedestal that's wooden and I just need to drill a hole in it and then yeah, and then I'll just go ahead and glue it in place so that way it's stable and it looks a little bit nicer. So I was like, you know what, I kind of, and I might actually wait until this is like I'm done using this to set up, because then it's just for display if I put it on here. But yeah, so I'm just about ready. I have my little farmhouse that will be further in the distance, and then I painted my grass or my fields, and then I have like extra trees and all that good stuff. So now it's really about setting it up and getting it ready to take the photographs tomorrow. So I'll take my photographs tomorrow morning so I get better lighting, because right now the light is not great right now at this time of the day, and I kind of want this backlit with some natural lighting. And then I'll also have my ring light here on the side, so I'll use that to also add additional light coming from this side. So yeah, so right now it's just a relief knowing that all my pieces are made. I was like, ooh, this one took a while to make because I had the hot air balloon, did a couple times on that, the cup, getting the stand, everything took a couple of times to get it done. So yeah, it was trying to figure things out. But what I'll do is, because I have all these poles and things like that, I'll take a photograph without any of this stuff on the set, and then I'll put the stuff in front of the set, and then I'll go ahead and shoot multiple photos, and then I'll just photo composite it together. So that way I have my finished photograph, and it's like, then it'll be easier to Photoshop out the little wooden rods and stuff like that, and the little pedestals and stuff. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I think this piece will be ready hopefully by sometime mid next week. Yeah, probably mid next week. I'll have like all the post-production, like Photoshop, everything good to go. And then I'm thinking about taking some of these pieces. I don't know. I was thinking later on, if I can, maybe animating some things out of the cut paper. Like, it could be just something as simple as this little arm and the little, yeah, I forget what they call it, but the little scope, having that animated. So that was a thought. I don't know. We'll see. But that, if I do it that, it may end up being digital, because I glued this down. I was like, oh, I think I just need to glue it down. So anyways, so, but yeah, that's kind of the update of where I'm at with this piece. All right, bye. Hi everybody. So I'm set up in my studio and I am working on getting the lighting. I'm getting things positioned basically right now. Yeah, so I kind of am doing this just for my sanity, because sometimes I forget things, and I was like, you know what? This is also great for me, so I remember how I'm doing things, because it is hard to remember at times because you get so caught up with things. So my camera is set up over here. So yesterday I spent time like just adjusting, kind of checking to make sure things are in focus. I have my ring light right here. Yeah, so I'm gonna do this in stages. So I feel like for this picture, I'm gonna remove everything off of here to push it to the side, and then I'm gonna take a photograph of it, because I've got to get rid of these stick parts. And so it's gonna be easier if I do a photograph um, without everything there. And then this will become a photo composite in Photoshop. And then I'll take a picture with everything in place. The biggest thing is the light in the background is going to change and fluctuate. So I'm a little bit like, oh, oh goodness. So I need to be quick about it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And so I'm doing my best not to move anything now, and I'm ready to go ahead and take a photograph of this background. And I'm going to do something called bracketing in photography. So bracketing is where you will take the same photograph at different exposures. And so there's different amounts of light coming into the lens in this camera over here. So it affects like how long the lens is open for. This is all stuff I've had to kind of learn because I'm not a photographer. Um, so yeah, for those you don't know, if you're really not familiar with photography, there is a little opening inside this lens, and the opening is controlled by the camera that you say, okay, I want it to be based on, like I shoot aperture priority. So that means the aperture, how big that little opening is really the main focus. That doesn't is the priority because I want depth of field, and so shallow or wide depth of field, which is how blurry this background is or how in focus everything is, so in relationship to the lens. So that's something I've had to learn about. So if I remember this correctly, if the aperture is higher, that you get a much more wider depth of field. And that's like our cell phones. Our cell phones are generally set up to have wide depth of field. But I found that, like, you know, if you're a portrait photographer, you probably don't want all crisp background. So if you want a shallow depth of field, you would set your camera up for something, say like a smaller aperture number. But with that said, the aperture, if it's a lower number, say like under four, say under 4, it's kind of funny because it's the opposite. Then that opening is a lot bigger. If it is a high number, the opening is a lot smaller. So yeah, I find that I don't know all of the details, but I'm learning and taking an online photography course, so that's really helping. But yeah, I will focus everything, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start shooting. Okay. All right. So I'm switching over so you guys can see my desktop over here. So I get asked, like, why do you take so many photographs? And here's the thing. I take lots of photographs because I like to see the different exposures, and I control it all through this Smart Shooter 4 software. You don't really need this. If you have a newer camera, you can just shoot through Lightroom. My camera, it was not set up to talk to Lightroom, so I had to get this software, and it works great. I love that I can do everything live and see a preview of it. And this is on my large monitor. My eyesight's not as good, so I go, hey, look at this. And okay, so another reason, sorry, I'm gonna clear this up. I like to change my white balance. Now, you didn't see this, but I have a preset white balance that I was shooting with earlier. So the preset was giving me a much cooler version, which it's nice to have this option, but boy, do I really love this warm one. This was seriously just by changing something we call the white balance, and it's like telling the camera what I want my white to be at different like lighting situations. So this one is set for shade. Now I did a preset one. I'll have to make another video how I do the preset version of the white balance, but that's nice too as well. So it's now, as you can see, it's like as I click through, you're seeing the different, it's almost like, I love this part because it's almost like I literally have a different time of the day. It's like it changes as I change the exposure, and it's becomes this like just like this time lapse thing of like, oh, this is what it would look like at this time of the day. And it's very, very exciting to see that. Okay, now this is gonna be the tricky part. I have to now take all my pieces over here, and I'm gonna have to set them back here without moving everything. This is so hard because I am probably only I had this little farm that I was gonna do, but I'm so afraid that I'm gonna move something. I'm probably only gonna take the main pieces and throw it up there. I just I don't know. I really want the farm in there, but we'll see. Because it's like you literally cannot move the camera. I can't move anything that was still in this picture, because if I do, I won't be able to photo composite it. It just never lines up correctly, and so I'm so bad at this, so wish me luck. Okay, I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I set it up without moving anything, and I got the farm in there. I may take it out anyways as a safety precaution, just depending on how the perspective is, because I feel like it's almost a little too big in terms of scale, unless I may blur it. We'll see. But yeah, I've got some options now. But now I have to come over here. I will be changing and taking different exposures of this. I did add this ring light on now because I felt like it was just a little bit dark. Like, I'll turn it off just so you guys can see the difference. See how dark that is? But I have settings on here. So if I pop this back on, come on. And then I minus. See, I love that you can reduce a little bit. There we go. And then I'm getting my live preview over here. And here I'm going to change up the exposure because I do like this one, this earlier one I took. And I think I remember what exposure I had at it. So I'll be doing that. I think I've gotten most of my shots down here at the bottom with the birds and the hot air balloon. This is always such a painful part of a decision-making point. Do I just go ahead and say, I think I've got all my exposures, which I bracketed all the way from 3.3 down to 0, and -0.3 is very dark, and I don't think I would ever go that dark. I mean, it pumps up the colors, but I do have the background ones that I did earlier that I think will compensate. So I'm gonna pump this back so you can see it. Okay, so here's the thing. My next thing I want to do is bracket the shots, but I want to remove those characters. And it just kills me to do this because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I got everything. It's I think I did. I look at these, and what I'll do as a safety precaution, I'll start Launch Photoshop here, and I will actually open some of those JPEGs just to see. Over here. I have a JPEG right here, but I'm going to pick one of these that I can see better. I'm just going to grab it. It's probably way too overexposed. But anyway, so I'm launching and I'm opening it. So I just want to check and see how sharp everything looks. Am I happy? Yeah, that's pretty sharp. I pre-focused everything. This is stuff I've learned literally, and I'll Photoshop that. I think I should be able to fix that. It's a little bit, I just realized I see that part right here. So I'm debating, I think I can Photoshop that out. So that's always a thing. Sometimes you do something and you're like, oh man. So I am nervous about turning it a little bit because I like the angle of this really well. But I might attempt to, because I'm going to take these out anyways of the scene, so I think I'm okay. I think I can adjust and turn it just ever so slightly, and then reshoot. I took new photos. I just bracketed every possible version because I just liked it better because of the angle. It was working better. So now I have to move the characters, and then I will shoot with the little farmhouse, and I will bracket all of that. And then I will shoot again just to be on the safe side because the lighting has changed behind it. I'm going to re-bracket all that. So it's literally dismantling everything and reshooting step backwards. I think it's yeah, because then I know I will probably 98% of the time have everything the way I want it to go. So anyways, wish